Hello, Steve White, Trick Boy 89 for Steve Hearts 89. Well, a little surprise for sort of Star Trek Day, I guess. Um, they have created something called very short treks. Now, you all know these short treks, which were sort of an attempt to get more attention to Star Trek Discovery back in the day, that didn't really sell to anyone. They just ended up uploaded on Netflix, and they didn't really get any advertising. They seem to be counted as a series. Like they talk about it like seasons of two seasons of a series, when they were just 5, 6, 7, 8 minute shorts, and yeah, it was a bit messy. And it didn't last long. But now they've done these very short treks, which are purely animated, not canon, which they should have said about the short treks because some of them make no sense and totally contradict everything else in the show. But yeah, they've got 5 shorts. Skin a Cat, which is the first one, was premiering on September 8th. And then each week on the Wednesday, they're going to premiere a new one. There's 5 of them. The second one is called Holiday Party. The third one is called Worst Contact. The fourth one is called Holograms All the Way Down. And the fifth one is called Walk, Don't Run. And although they're not canon, they do have the voices of Jonathan Frakes, Celia, Rose Gooding, Connor Trinier. I didn't notice he was there. Bruce Horak as Hammer, Noel Wells as Tendi, and George Takei Sulu. I didn't read the whole list. Ethan Peck is back as Spock. I got about that far. Gaze McFadden as Beverly Crusher. Quark is appearing. Doug Jones is appearing. And Jonathan Frakes, as I mentioned. So the voice cast is interesting. Glad they're saying they're not canon, in which case then why do them? That makes no sense to have this non-canon. It's just the further disrespect of Star Trek. If they're not even pretending to do things in canon or caring about anything, any consistency, they're just making jokes and having fun. But could they be good? I don't know. I don't think any of the short treks were good. A couple of them were kind of interesting stories on their own, but they didn't fit into the overall story and the canon of the show itself that it was dealing with, not just the bigger sort of canon. So it was a bit of a mess. I'm trying to remember if any of them were any good. I don't think any of them really were. But yeah, so this is happening. What else do they have up for Star Trek Day? Not much. I think that's it. They're doing an animated celebration comic. Not sure what that's about. It's called the Shimer Barrier. I'm guessing that's some reference to Lou Shimer. I'm not sure what that's about. But it's a multiple chapter and it's coming out soon. Not a lot about that. Yeah, it's coming from IDW, from all the others. Okay. That's about it for Star Trek news. There was something about advertising opening up and not letting me go to... there was a little bit of talk about Marina Sirtis and one of the interviews that she did for Picard, because that's coming out on Blu-ray. That was the other thing. There's actually a documentary on the making of Star Trek 2, which has been released. I think it's a book. Is it a documentary or is it a book? I have no idea what it is. It is a book. For a second I thought it was a documentary. No, it's just a book. I'm talking about the author. That's when I was like, oh, it's a book. I thought it was a documentary. So that at least will be interesting. There is a making of Star Trek book that was done back in the day, which I have on my bookshelf behind me. But this is a new one, so it might have some interesting new elements. It may have a new perspective on the film and how it has hurt the Star Trek films and the Star Trek franchise by creating this trap where they couldn't get out of, where every film now has to be good guys versus bad guys in space and space battles, and every film has to have a villain. And people think that's what Star Trek is, just some slightly more intellectualized version of Star Wars, basically, rather than an actual science fiction show. So I think Star Trek 2 has been very damaging on Star Trek because it has appealed more, it's more familiar with the public, but it isn't really a good example of Star Trek. It's not a science fiction story. And it just sets up that expectation that every film is going to be some sort of space battle with a good guy and a bad guy, not a science fiction film like Star Trek 1 or Star Trek 4. Which were the best films and also made the most money, more than JJ's films, actually, if you add for inflation and look at the budget as far as profitability goes. But people don't like to look at that, but that's reality, that's the truth. The numbers are there. So I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. There's nothing else. I think there's one other thing. It's a comic with some sort of battle between Worf and Alexander. It's in Defiant, Star Trek Defiant. I think that's a mini-series, yeah. I haven't really been watching them, reading them. I haven't really been paying much attention to them because they are decidedly not canon. They're decidedly going against what Star Trek likes to do. And at least they're admitting it, though. They're like saying, no, we're just doing this alternate worlds thing. We're just going to have fun with it. We're just going to make everyone bad and do things we normally wouldn't do, expect them to do, get crew members who'd never be together just because they're popular. Just all these sort of things that it's hard to take seriously. I guess I'll look at them one day, but that's happening. I thought that was a standalone comic when I looked at it, but it's actually part of that series. But yeah, I've been talking for 5 minutes. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I don't know if I'll watch the very short treks. They could be fun. I don't know.